What is up, everybody? And first of all, congratulations to those of you who have finished the live streaming challenge. We went 7 days, which I know doesn't sound like a lot of days, but when you consider we've done a 14-day challenge and a 30-day challenge, and there's a lot of challenges that are even longer, this is amazing. There's not an easy way to talk about it because it's just I remember what it was like to go live for the first time, and it was one of the most stressful things ever. But I did it, and I'm glad I did, and I've been doing it ever since. That's 6 years straight now that I've been doing it. For the first year, it was every single day for 365 days, and then weekly after that. And now with the Pokemon channel, every single Monday, and I want to double that. I want to go twice a week. It is some of the most fun I've ever had. It's the deepest connections I've had with my audience. I've made so many new friends and super fans who continue to come back time and time again. And some of those super fans are here right now watching the live. I see I see Marianne, I see the SharePoint help desk. What's up? Kelsey here from Team SPI is here as well. George, great to see you here. Very grateful for all of you because today we're just going to kind of wrap up this challenge, but I'm going to tell you what to do next and kind of where to go from here because I don't want you to stop when we do these things, right? We want to keep these things going, keep the momentum rolling because over time, this is where things begin to compound. It's very much like investing, right? It's a little bit here and there. These things add up, and over time, it starts to exponentially grow. In fact, I've seen some results from our previous challenges, people who've continued that, who've seen skyrocketed growth now after being 60, 90 days into those challenges because they've kept going. And that's the one thing I'd want to start with here, which is I want to encourage you to keep going with your live streaming journey. The tools make it as easy as possible for you. Big shout out and thank you to Ecamm as well for hooking us up with, first of all, an incredible 1 month free deal, which they've never done before. If you use the code Live SPI, LIVE over at Ecamm, they'll hook you up with 1 month free, which again, they've never done before. And they've been here since the beginning. Many people from the Ecamm fam here in the chat right now. And I'm really excited just to kind of chat for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. I want to answer as many questions as I can for you related to live streaming because, again, this is the almost final frontier, if you want to call it that, when it comes to content because everything else is being AI-ified right now. And live streaming is the most authentic, genuine. It's the most vulnerable. It's the most real life. And that's what people are craving these days. So we got Ecamm fam in the house, did 7 out of 7 and enjoyed it very much. In fact, let me showcase some of y'all here because that is incredible. Marianne did 7 out of 7, enjoyed it very much. I'm curious, Marianne, what did you enjoy about it the most? And everybody who went live either one day or all 7 days, what were your favorite parts about going live? For me, my favorite parts about going live are getting to meet people, new people, yes, because live equals discoverability. If you do a few things, which we'll go over again, there's not a ton of tips that are new from what I've shared before, but I want to reiterate them because they are that important. And one of them relates to discoverability, especially on your replays. But I also love seeing the people who keep coming back. When I did the income stream, which was the name of my live stream back in 2020, again, going live every day for a single year. First of all, just every day you get better and better and faster. You build these systems. You start to get more comfortable with your voice. You start to notice people coming in time and time again, and you really start to build a family. In fact, some of those people have become moderators of the Pat Flynn channel, many of those people getting to meet them in person, many of them meeting each other in person. It really became a family, which was amazing, from April Roga to Samson to Kathy to Mara. I can even remember their names, and that was 6 years ago. I don't often remember the names of the people who comment on my YouTube videos or on my blog posts or who listen to my podcast unless I interact with them in some way. But this is interaction, which is really, really cool, right? Enjoying the most. Let's showcase some more of these because I think a lot of it. I think this is really important. Little Moments said we had a lot of the same people join in every single day, right? And that's what's amazing. You don't get necessarily a ton of views right away, but you get the same amount of people coming in, and that's huge, right? People spending their time with you. Don't let that go, right? We want to keep this going, but also reach out to those people who you notice keep coming in every single day. That's really important because those people can become super fans and people who can help you and support your brand and guide you and give you feedback when you need it, all those kinds of things. The SharePoint help desk says learning and working the muscle. Yeah, so it is kind of like a muscle. And like a muscle, this is a perfect analogy, actually, because when you build muscle, what do? You actually tear them apart when you're lifting weights or doing push-ups or anything like that, you're actually creating tiny micro tears in your muscles that when you then recover, and hopefully with a lot of good protein, um, it rebuilds even stronger, right? And so this is a perfect analogy for the mistakes that we make, the systems that we don't quite yet know, but we still go live anyway, so that the next time we can get even better and better, and like you said, build that muscle, which is great. George says, same here, 7 out of 7, and today 19 out of 31 vids in May, and it is in fact May 18th today here in the U.S. So congrats on keeping it up every day in May. Pokey Trev, who's gone not just live recently, but also has been creating videos for how many days now, Trev? I've seen your videos. They're so genuine, and I love you for creating them. And thank you for initially joining the challenge, but also keeping it up, which is amazing. Had so much fun in this challenge. Marianne, loving the daily challenge emails and what to focus on, storytelling. Yes, probably my favorite thing about live streaming is that it's just enough pressure to force you to tell stories in a way that matters, right? If you just tell story to a friend at a coffee shop, we don't often think about it as, well, okay, well, this person might leave the coffee shop, right? I hope you don't tell stories bad enough that your friend actually gets up and leaves. But that can happen, of course, in a situation like this, right? Where a person who maybe just discovers you, they don't necessarily know you, or maybe they know you a little bit, but you can dive into storytelling to encapsulate them, to engage them, to intrigue them, to be relatable, and to, again, start that relationship building process. So that's why I love live streaming. It's a perfect, just enough pressure platform without the need to be perfect either. This is the other part of live streaming that I really love. And I think this is where a lot of people who started this challenge got really encouraged, because a ton of mistakes were made across the board. I've watched a lot of those videos and watched the replays of them. And I'm just, again, so proud of all of you for doing it and then continuing it despite those mistakes. That is such an important thing, not just for live streaming, but for everything that we do. And I think that's why the short form video challenge was so successful. And I know live streaming is a little bit more challenging, but again, kudos to those of you who were brave enough and courageous enough to do it. Doing these past 7 days after going into hibernation because of trolls 7 years ago has really been helpful for me to become more visible again. April, I'm very, very proud of you. April's been a longtime fan of SPI and my work, has bought all of my books, and has been there since day one of the income stream. And April, it's amazing to think that sometimes we just need a little bit of a push, right, to get things going. And I'm so proud of you because I don't remember the exact story. You may have shared it with me before, but I have had my fair share of trolls and still continue to do so. In fact, every once in a while I get a troll here and there, but you know what's cool? Number one, I lead with empathy now. I realize that hurt people, and I realize that those people who are trolls are often hurt themselves, or who have been hurt themselves. And so when I lead with empathy, it makes me feel better, because then I know it's really not about me. I do listen, and I think constructive criticism is important. However, oftentimes the really harsh stuff, the stuff that seems to tear you down the hardest, is often coming from a place of hurt themselves. So I try to lead with empathy, and I hope we can all realize that. The second thing is that your fans will show up for you. Every second you waste thinking about a troll or hater is a second that you take away from those who appreciate you, who want you to show up, who are looking forward to your stuff, who will benefit from it. Those who are trolls often aren't even going to be the people who are actually going to listen and take your advice, right? So just wanted to share that with you. Ecamm Live here also as well says, way to go, April. I love the supportive community here as well. I think this is something, it's one of those, how do you say it? Almost like a rite of passage, right? To go live and do your first live and what that feels like. It's a little bit different with a video, although there's still that sort of first video feeling, like a new car smell type thing. But with live, it's a little bit different, right? We understand, we get it now. And if you have been watching this and you have been seeing other people go live and you haven't gone live yourself yet, I highly recommend you do it. It's one of the most fun things, and the risk to reward ratio is very much on the reward side. Right. That being said, I continue to understand how nervous things can be. The one thing I learned about being nervous, though, I still get nervous. I did a presentation 2 weeks ago at Social Media Marketing World in Anaheim. And I met a lot of you there, actually, a lot of people who were going to do this live streaming challenge, which was really cool. And I was able to encourage some people there along the way. But I still got nervous before getting up on stage. I was doing the closing keynote, and after speaking on stage hundreds of times in dozens of different countries around the world, I still get nervous. But I understand now what that means. I used to think when I first started that getting nervous meant that I was going to do poorly, that I wasn't good enough, that people were going to shame me if I didn't do well. But what I eventually realized is that I was excited and it was a sign that I really cared about wanting to do well. And if I had a little bit of nervousness going into this event, weeks leading up to it, months leading up to it, even, then I knew that I would do the right preparation in order to do my best. It wasn't always perfect and it never is, but it does give me encouragement to realize that, oh, this is important to me. That is why I'm nervous. The same parts of the brain fire when you are nervous and when you are excited. So, really, it's just a matter of, well, what are you going to do with that information? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to interpret it as you are not going to do well, or are you going to interpret it as you care enough to give yourself the best chance to do well, right? You want some butterflies. Exactly. I would actually be more nervous to Ecamm's comment here. I would actually be more nervous if I didn't get nervous. Does that make sense? I'd be worried that I would be too complacent, that I maybe didn't study hard enough or rehearse enough. I would be more worried if I didn't feel those butterflies, right? If I didn't get butterflies before asking my wife, April, different April, for her hand in marriage, then maybe it wasn't meant to be. I was very nervous, by the way. Almost set the apartment on fire. We do need an income stream reunion minus the pandemic, yes, and there have been notes of things around the world that have been feeling similar to what once was happening in 2020, and I hope that is all under control now. We don't need another one of those. But I would love to do another income stream. I gotta dig up the song and everything. I for some reason love creating songs for the work that I do. I think it's a podcaster sort of DNA in myself that did that. That made me want to do that. April said, "Pat, you have no idea how much sweating I did this week." I'm sure I know. I understand, April, but I'm, again, very proud of you. I've learned to ask myself why it matters to me, and if it doesn't make me nervous, then it doesn't matter to me. Unbox small dynamic duo. That is awesome. I'm still going on from the 30-day challenge in January, but I was too scared to do this one. That's okay. That's okay. I understand, but hopefully even seeing some people here talk about the same kind of nerves, but then getting over that hump, getting and crashing through that brick wall and seeing life on the other end. Hopefully it encourages you, little pirate, to continue to move forward. I love this as well. Hey, if I don't make mistakes, then I'm not learning or pushing myself. You have to be willing to look like a fool to learn how to be a pro. This is uh, my signal to do a phrase that I often say, which is you got to be cringe before they binge. There is also you got to be a disaster before you become the master. Whatever fun phrase you want to put in there, it's so true. I wrote about this in my recent book, Lean Learning. The idea that learning comes from doing, and doing means making mistakes, and mistakes aren't bad. In fact, they're good. If you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing yourself hard enough, and that is so important to understand. Um, Here's a great question. Let's get into some questions. In fact, let's see here. Going forward, this is from Frugal Family Home, and feel free to ask your questions down below. I'll pop them up here and answer them. Going forward, how do you pick what content to do live and what content to record and upload? You know what's interesting is that I found that you can take a topic and chop it up in many different ways. You can do a pre-recorded video, one that is maybe more in depth, more storytelling. You can do a more quick hitting version of the same topic, maybe even pulling notes from that video and or clips from it and making it short form videos like Reels and YouTube Shorts. And you can do a live version on that as well. In fact, that is probably a formula that I've seen many, many times in the past that we haven't talked about here because I didn't want to mix mediums here. But I think now is the perfect time to talk about this. Some people start with a pre-recorded video and they use these pre-recorded videos, and even sometimes they're shorts. They use the shorts to sort of pressure test to understand what particular topics an audience might be interested in, to test different hooks, in fact. These things then signal certain videos that could perform well because the audience is responding to it, they're engaging with it, to then create a longer form video about it and or a live stream. Alex Hermosi made this sort of process a little bit famous, but more on the Twitter side of things and on the X side of things. He would post multiple times a day, certain phrases, certain quotes, certain ideas, certain topics. And then anything that got any sort of high level of engagement, he would pull out and turn into a long form video. and then turn that into then a podcast. So you can do the same thing with these live streams as well. In fact, if you have a topic that's worth talking about for your audience, I would consider how might you do this in all the different ways. Some people, I know there was a woman named Chalene Johnson who was a mentor of mine for a long time back in the early 2010s. She used to go live first, and she would kind of repurpose that live stream into both a podcast and a longer form video. Now, the hard thing about that is you want to make sure that for your live streaming audience that there is still some engagement, right? If you're just recording a podcast, but it's live, but it's pre-recorded and you're not kind of interacting with the audience during the live, then it's going to be as a little less engaging, right? However, I will say that there's ways to sort of structure it in a way that can still be really engaging. And the way that Chalene did it was she went live about a topic. It was a topic that she had already knew that her audience was interested in. So she knew she was going to get a little bit of a crowd there. And she would be there and talk about it and tell some stories, almost kind of like a warm up. She would even answer a few questions. But then all of a sudden, after 15, 20 minutes, she would say, okay, everybody, hang tight because I'm about to record a 30-minute podcast episode about all the things we just talked about. And I'm going to tell some new stories too. So sit back, relax. You're going to get a behind the scenes look at me recording my podcast. But stick around because afterwards we can talk about it as well. And I'd love to answer even more questions after the fact. And so she would actually then take that audio out. This was before video and video podcasting was more popular. This was again in the mid 2010s. She would rip out that audio from the middle and make that her podcast. And she would kind of get it all done in one full swoop, which was really amazing. Right? So I think it could be done that way as well. So how many of you are going to continue going live? Let me know in the chat how many of you are going to continue going live. Continuing is really important because we want to continue to maintain that momentum, but similar to the question that was recently asked, where might we find new topics, new things to talk about? Now, the cool thing about live is that you can talk about anything, right? And a lot of times people go live about live and current events. These are things that don't necessarily get as much replay viewership over time. You can get a lot of replay viewership in a small moment of time. But there are people out there who go live about current events and affairs that are happening all around the world. And they get a lot of people watching live because that is how now people are consuming their news. And it could be news in a more general sense. It could be a niche topic. It could be about a sport. I know there's some people, especially during the fantasy football season, any fantasy football fans excited about the next coming months. You know, training camp is happening soon and then the season starts in August. I hope to attend a few games, but I also hope to win my fantasy football league because I've been with these guys for the last 15 years and I think I've only won once. So I'm hoping to do well, and to help me do well, I listen to some live streams because people are talking about in real time what is happening, who's getting injured, who is coming up from, the minors. I don't think they call it the minors in football, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's all this news that happens in real time that's really important to me. So that can be both a good thing and a bad thing, the news type cycle, because like I said earlier, you can talk about things that are happening in real time and that's going to be very relevant, but then it's not as relevant later. So you don't get as much of the continual evergreen replay. Another plus to it is that things can happen in the moment and you can just go live and share your thoughts. There's less structure because maybe you're figuring out what's going on with the people who are watching live and they're even helping you. That's the cool thing. You can kind of discuss together these live events and pop up comments and talk about them and gather some ideas from your audience. This is a great way to involve your audience. And when you involve your audience, they get invested. Well, let me say that one more time. When you get your audience involved, they get invested. Now, of course, there's some downsides to this. It can be a competitive cycle. There could be other people kind of, trying to get the real-time alerts as well. But again, you put your personality into it, people are going to want to hear those things from you and not the other person. The other downside about the sort of like news cycle type thing is that it's hard to plan for it, right? You can't get ahead on your content or even begin to outline things all the time. If you teach in a more evergreen fashion, if you have more educational content, then that is where you can definitely get ahead and start not just coming up with ideas yourself, but crowdsourcing from the audience. Like right now, I can take these questions that are coming in and make those separate videos. I can talk about certain topics, maybe more in depth, or come up with some stories based on seeds that were planted by the actual audience that's there live. This was one thing that we loved to do on the income stream, is because it was daily. I would often ask those of you who were in the income stream, again, my live stream back in March 2020, what do we talk about tomorrow? Or what is of interest to you right now? And there was a lot of things related to stimulus checks and what to do with a little bit of income maybe coming in. What would you do with $1,000 in today's environment to build a business from scratch without being able to talk to people in person, right? And there was so many fun discussions about that. That was sort of a combination of what the audience wanted, but what was happening in real time, which was pretty cool. Beyonce says she still gets nervous. Andy TV says, "Hey Pat, can I work for you? I don't have any openings currently. I apologize, Andy, but I'm flattered, and I just want to recommend that although there are no openings, you can learn from the work that you do and work for yourself and put stuff out there and see what works, see what doesn't, and take the stuff that we're teaching here and implement it on your own. That is, in a way, working for me because I don't." You're not on like a payroll or anything like that, but you are paying yourself with the work that you're doing, learning from us. And that to us is really, really important. Similar how TV comedies was recorded, the audience would have a chit chat before the show is recorded. They're in the room while the show is being recorded. Yes, I miss those days. I don't feel like comedies are recorded in that same way. And then laugh tracks came and all those kinds of things. I will continue to do live streams, maybe try to do it consistently. Yeah, currently I go once a week. I used to go one per day, and then it was kind of sporadic. But on the Pokemon side of things, I do go live once per week, every Monday. I'll actually be going live today at 9. Sorry, I looked at my clock, and it's 9. I'll be going live at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. If you want to see some craziness, that'll be on the Deep Pocket Monster YouTube channel. There are thousands of people. I mean, we've gotten up to 13,000 people at one point watching live concurrently, which is crazy and so much fun. And there's fun ways to engage and have fun with the audience, opening and ripping Pokemon packs, but also doing some giveaways and also telling some stories and involving the audience in a way too, which is pretty cool. I'm putting a twist on my going live. Nice. I love that. Oh, we used to play games. Yes, April says we used to play games in your card deck. I have to, again, all my 2020 stuff is kind of underneath here, but somewhere. We used to play these games. What was the brand one? There was one where we had to come up with a brand name where you'd pick an audience and an item, like um, wrenches for farmers. What would you call that? And you would just make up a brand name for it, right? Like Home on the Wrench or something. I don't know. I'm just making this up, but that was really, really fun. That was really, really, really fun. I still get nervous every day and every time. Tells me that I'm invested in my mission to change the world through kindness. I love that. Right there with you. Marianne says, the next live I will do is actually batch record my short reels. Wait, so the next live you will kind of give people a behind the scenes of you batch recording? That's pretty cool. People love behind the scenes. That's a great content type that you can include for your videos, right? So you're live, people are seeing you record. Maybe you're recording on your phone like this, but the audience is watching live, but you're doing this here. And now people will want to see what the finished product looks like. So you almost kind of get a work with me kind of feel. And I think that's really amazing. Brand standing. Yes. Thank you, Kathy. Also, this is great. A great reminder. If you have a question, type QQQ so that I can kind of catch it in my comment section here. And I'm using Ecamm, by the way. I highly recommend using Ecamm. I can pull these comments in. I can put them on the screen. I can change camera angles. It's just kind of you and me today. But we can also put stuff, as far as sound effects on the screen as well. I have an idea. So that was a triangle sound effect. Anyway, Q or QQ or QQQ. Anyway, let's answer these questions now. When there's a technical problem, i.e. mics go out, what is your go-to solution? Do you stop the stream? So that is a great question because this is something that is part of the beauty and the hard part about going live. You never know what's going to happen. And I've had my fair share of technical difficulties. And for the last couple of weeks, I've had technical difficulties on the Pokemon channel. And what you do is you kind of roll with the punches. The last resort is to stop the stream and then kind of restart. Thankfully, Ecamm, both and YouTube will pick up where you left off in many cases. It doesn't always happen, but I find that to have worked before where something shuts down or I forgot to plug in my computer. I checked really quick. One time I forgot to plug in my computer and it died midstream. So the computer went dead. I had to plug it in, wait a couple minutes for it to get battery, turn it back on, went back on Ecamm, and just resumed. And the people watching live just saw like a frozen screen for a couple minutes, but I was able to come back but the resetting of everything is sort of a last resort. The one thing to note is that the live audience is usually pretty forgiving when technical difficulties happen. It's actually appreciated in many cases because people know that it's real. Now, I'm not saying put mistakes in there on purpose, but there is something to be said for making mistakes and showing people that this is real life and that it's happening live and that it's human, right? It's very human. So if something like a mic goes out really quick here on Ecamm, I can just select a button to choose a different mic, right? If I were to go here and I can choose this microphone, now it probably sounds different. This is the MacBook Pro microphone. So, okay, maybe it doesn't sound as great as it did before, but it's good enough. And you know what? I'm not going to make a big deal about it. That's the last thing I'll say about it. I will not make a big or you make it a big deal and you start getting frustrated and you go, "Oh my gosh, I prepared this whole time. Why is this happening? Hold on, chat. Let me try to reconnect this." And maybe you give it a shot once or twice and if it doesn't work, you just kind of go back and continue on like nothing happened. And people won't even make a big deal out of it until you do. It's almost one of my biggest pet peeves with live presentations. This was something that happened all the time in school. A person would get up and do a presentation, and their first words out of their mouth would be, "I didn't finish the project." So why are you telling people that? Why are you telling people that? Right? Let's go to some more questions. That was a great question, by the way. What do you think about co-working lives? I think they're a great idea. They are an absolute great idea. Actually, Liz, who is our community director at SPI, she's amazing, by the way. The community has just been so much more lively since she's come on. This is her superpower in email as well, by the way. But she's doing amazing. She on her end, on her brand, at lizwilcox.com, she does co-working sessions, and that kind of live is where you just go live and then you say, "Hey, everybody, like come live and work with me." Like, I'm not going to really engage with you during this time, but we're all here together kind of just to hold us accountable. And maybe I'll check in with you every once in a while, but really, we're just here to kind of hang out together virtually. And you do see people getting work done. I think that is a very creative solution, especially if you have students of yours or community that just kind of wants to get together but has work to do, right? Let's work together. And I think that can be an amazing solution. Little Moment says, "How do you do giveaways? How do you pick the winner?" So there's a number of different ways to do this. I initially used a website called Wheel of Names. So I collect the names. I'll share with you how I collect the names in just a moment. But wheelofnames.com allows you to actually, can I bring this up on the screen? Let me see if I can do that. I think I can do this. If I go here and I go here and I go here. Yes. I wasn't planning on screen sharing today, but here we are. Wheelofnames.com. This is where you can put any giveaway things and names. You can grab a list of names. You can copy and paste into this. We don't need these ads, but I can put Jane, April, Pat, Tyrone, Jason, Jameson, and I can spin this thing, and that's how we can pick the winners. And this becomes a pretty fun and engaging way to do it while live, right? That becomes a fun and engaging thing that you can do. April was the winner, by the way. Congrats, April. That's a fun and engaging way to kind of select the winners. But the way that I collect the names, there are ways to do it with comment sections and things like that. Actually, I use another tool called Random Name Picker. Random Name Picker is what I use now because we broke the wheel. Just the wheel is way too finicky when it gets over 1,000 names. But I use Random Name Picker. You can also choose random Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can put a comment in there or find a person who leaves a comment. You can do it that way. But I use Forms. Forms.google.com. This is actually, while I'm here, let me make the form for today because I will be doing a live stream today. So actually, not a member-only form. I want the public one. So I just kind of copy the ones that I use. But anyway, with this, what is the date today? The 18th. I'm doing this live, everybody. This is a little bit of pressure. So I'll create this. I already have this here, but this allows me, I can put a bunch of different fields if I wanted to. And I collect the email and I collect the YouTube username. And I just hit publish. And then I have now a short link for this. And that's how people join the live stream. And when they put their name in that form, it goes into, and I'm not going to share this because it reveals email addresses, but when people get that link and they put their name on. I just share that link live. I pin it at the top of the comment section on YouTube, or I share it on Instagram, or I share it on Discord, or whatever for my members. I take that link, I share it. People put their name in there. They put their YouTube username and their email, and I get a always updating Google Sheet. And I just grab those names, not the email addresses. I grab the names, copy and paste them into that random wheel thing, and then I can select the name from there. So that's how I run the giveaways, and that's super fun to do. Very cool. Let's see. More questions coming in. Question. I'm interested to know what ratio of live to replay watches people get in particular on LinkedIn. That's a good question. I haven't looked at that, Martin, but something that maybe other members of the audience could answer. Replay versus live viewership on replay versus live viewership. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. I was worried I was a little behind here on my stream, but I clicked a button accidentally. Again, if you want people to watch your replays, start your live streams without waiting for people to show up. You want to start as if a person is watching the replay already. And that's a very important tip when it comes to hooks, right? Hooks are the most important thing when it comes to people watching these long form videos, these replays of yours. So give a person a reason to stick around, even though it's not live. And you're going to see a lot more views. We get a ton of views on our videos after the live stream on YouTube. And we actually even changed the thumbnail. We could change it midstream if we wanted to, but we often change it after to accommodate for the replay viewers and have that be a different live stream thumbnail than before. Because before we're like, live stream coming, like join the giveaway. That's something that's not of value to people who are watching later. So you can change the thumbnails on these things, which is pretty cool. Andy says, what camera mic editing software do you use for your recordings? So this microphone here is a Shure SM7B, and it is for sure one of my favorite microphones. I also used a Heil PR40 for a while. These are ones that connect to a box called the Rodecaster Pro. This is the Rodecaster Pro 2. There's a Rodecaster Pro Duo, which is a little bit smaller, but you'll need that if you use one of these beefy mics. There is a mic that I use that has worked really, really well over time, and it looks like this. This is the ATR 2100X from Audio-Technica. There's also another one called the Samson Q2U. They do have that XLR cable that can go into a box like that, but you can just plug it in via USB and it'll work just fine. Most people who are not audio engineer experts are going to not really notice a difference there. And it is one that works really, really well, and I've used in the past for even podcasts as well. As far as editing software, first of all, I record my live streams into Ecamm. If you do want to get 1 month of Ecamm for free, use the code LIVESPI at checkout. They have never done that kind of campaign before, so be sure if you're going to use Ecamm, they're fantastic. You can even see them here in the chat. Part of the Ecamm fam is here. Let me know if you use Ecamm in the chat, by the way. I want to see the number of people who use Ecamm. Type me or I use Ecamm in the chat if that's you. But if you are wanting to get Ecamm and you want to get off the free trial, use LIVESPI as the code, and that'll get you 1 month free, which is absolutely amazing. So that is really cool. And then finally, for editing software, I use ScreenFlow. It's just a very basic editor that I use that I've known for a while, and I know all the shortcuts for. That's how I do my short videos in about 15 minutes every single day. It didn't start that way, by the way, but I learned the shortcuts. I used it every day, and I just got better and faster with it. And I'll even edit my long-form videos with that as well. Ecamm.com/SPI. Thank you, Smart Passive Income. Yep, show camera setup. Still brainstorming with the scenes, with the different overlays. I mean, there's so much you could do with Ecamm. It's so much fun. Like I can even one click. Let's see, I can get some fireworks in here. Let's see where my fireworks at. No. There we go. We got overlays, right? These are just graphics that I've those ones I've purchased from Motion Array, and you want to make sure it has what's called an alpha channel. That means that it's transparent as a video. But you can use animated GIFs. Let's see. See? Ditto. Right there. You can have a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. There's one for Pikachu. You can even play little movies like this.
Do you like Miltank? I like Miltank. Do you like Miltank?
Just like you can continue to add to this library of things over time. It is an electric thing to do, this live streaming thing. I want to wish you a hot stream the next time you go live. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not doing this the way I thought it was going to happen. Anyway, what do you recommend as a content creator yourself if I want to do Pokemon TCG content? I mean, really, I think for Pokemon content, there's a lot of people doing it, right? I think you want to do something that you can keep up and continue to do. I know a lot of people who want to rip packs every day, and then they just, they get 2 weeks into it and they're like, well, okay, this is expensive and I can't do it. You're going to need to give yourself something where you could do this for 60 days to begin to see results. Now, there's a lot of people who found creative ways to do Pokemon content that doesn't even involve ripping packs, but telling stories and sharing fun facts and, reviewing things and even reacting to other people's stuff. There's a number of different ways to do it, but it's got to be something that you enjoy and would continue to do, even though you might not be necessarily getting paid or even some followers up front. You do it because it's fun, and when it's fun, more people are actually likely to follow you, and you can get to that point as well. I have a PC, so Ecamm is not an option for me, says Sparkling Life Coach. What would be an option for a non-Mac user for something similar? StreamYard is all right, I guess. OBS is something that's probably would do everything, but is way too complicated for most people. Let's see, 5 Qs on this one. How do you pick your winners live? We found it hard to collect all the names and randomly select a winner. Yeah, I mean, I kind of shared that already, but I do that live, and I just share that link. I get all those names coming in every time, and I show myself putting it into one of those random name selectors. Usman says, why have you stopped sharing your income reports? I stopped sharing those in, 2018, 2019, after doing it for 7-8 years straight. I stopped sharing them because they were just not connecting with the audience anymore. The numbers were, I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that, but they were out of reach for most people, right? When I first started it, a lot of the numbers that I was sharing were more down to earth, right? And yes, the income was growing and it was doing really well, but it was starting to get to a point where it was disconnecting the audience a bit. It was becoming, oh, look at Pat making 6 figures a month now. This is like ridiculous. He's outgrown me as somebody learning from him. And the truth was, I didn't change what I taught. But what I was teaching and what I was doing was working really, really well, that it was actually becoming less and less relatable. And relatability is really, really important. So what I ended up doing was starting to share campaign reports. I shared a campaign report. Probably my most famous one was for my book, Will It Fly? I shared how much money my writing for my book, Will It Fly, made, from how much money I made from the book sales alone, from emails that I collected from that book. I collected, I think at the time that I wrote that, 44,000 emails from people who read that book, and then how those emails converted into people joining the SPI community and, purchasing courses and those kinds of things. And so that was more relatable because you could see it from start to finish versus the sort of just ongoing monthly income reports that became a little unrelatable for people, if that makes sense. Thanks, Pat. The audience was forgiving. Yes, they are. Question, how do you decide which comments to bring up on the screen when live and in the flow of sharing your content? It just feels kind of random, April. I don't think about it too hard. Yours just came up because I saw it, and I want to try to get to everybody, but I often can't. And I try to forgive myself with that because I know that there are often a lot of people watching, especially when there are thousands of people watching. But sometimes it's related to what I'm talking about. Sometimes it is a pivot point to a new discussion point. And sometimes it's just random. So I try not to think about it too hard. Biggest pointer I got this week is I hit the ground running and no pause or waiting for others to join, and I act like I already have a huge crowd from the jump and act as if. Yes, exactly. That is a perfect way to think about it. This is part of my strategy for the Pokemon channel. Was when it started, I was like, you know what? I'm going to, although I don't have a large audience, I'm going to approach the channel as if we do, right? I'm going to treat every video like a gift. I'm going to engage with the audience as if it's huge and every person there matters. And I'm going to treat it as if it has 1 million subscribers, even though we only have 1,000. And now we're at 2.25 million subscribers. And then on the Shorts channel, 2.76 million subscribers. So over 5 million combined, which is insane. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm curious if you know anyone else here that they found that they got more engagement and views on LinkedIn versus YouTube. Yeah, I'm curious about LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn Live is not as talked about very often, but hey, if you're going to go live and you're able to stream there into any of those places you want to stream from one singular source, which is Ecamm, then you might as well give it a shot. And I know for some people, LinkedIn is it. LinkedIn is their home base. And for others, it's more of an afterthought, right? And yes, you can go live on LinkedIn. Pokey Hobby, first of all, by the way, congrats on 10,000 subscribers. I saw that recently, which was amazing. It takes a while of constantly going live to get comfortable and roll with the hiccups that constantly happen. It took me about a year, so don't give up. Thank you for that. And congrats on 10K once again. Speaking of getting access to things, I want to give you something special because right now we have an open house. I know a lot of you who are watching this right now are members of SPI, but if you're not and you're curious about this, you've heard me talk about it a few times, I'd highly recommend getting in now because we have a 7-day open house. And that 7-day open house, you can only get in to get those 7 days before Wednesday. So check out this link below. It's smartpassiveincome.com/open house. You see how that overlay came in? This is part of the power of Ecamm. I can even flash it like this, but I'll keep it there so you can actually read it. Smartpassiveincome.com/open house. Make sure you grab that before the 20th. And we have a brand new course that's getting injected into that. Everybody who's a member already gets access to every new course and workshop that we create. But there's another one coming this week, and it's called Sponsor Me. This is our branding and sponsorship course for those of you who maybe aren't quite yet to the point where you're selling your own products, but you know that you can support other companies, and it's more than affiliate marketing. It's doing a brand partnership, a partnership deal. This is the course that we are about to release Thursday this week on the 21st. So if you're in the open house, you can get access to it for a few days at least, and hopefully stick around because we got an amazing community, a supportive community, and people who are in it with you. So go ahead and check that out. It's free to check out for 7 days. smartpassiveincome.com/open house. Kelsey dropped the link in there. Thank you so, so much. And I'll drop that link a couple more times as we go along. But I want to answer a few more questions for the time that we have remaining here. Let's see. Pat, if you turn reactions on your Mac, you can then program a Stream Deck and get those Mac reactions at a press of a button. Ooh, that's good to know. There's so many levels to this thing, right? I mean, easy to go live and start and do things like this, and putting comments on the screen is probably the first sort of overlay interaction that you'd love to experiment with. But I remember before I had to get a new computer that I had a setup. I didn't set this up again because it was not top priority, but I could do it again. This is where when a person left a super chat, if a person left a super chat on a live stream on YouTube, it would trigger an if this then that, either that or a Zapier. Anyway, some sort of automation that would have the lights in my room blink because my lights were on Philips Hue bulbs. And I think I now remember why we stopped that. It's because there were super chats coming in a little too often that my lights were just blinking all the time. I mean, I think that's why we stopped it actually, and now that I recall. But yeah, you can do fun things like that. Like how can you get it so that if a person comments a certain word, then something happens and maybe, I don't know, a Skittle like appears on your desk from a compartment and do we like some mechanical thing that you create. There's so many things that you could do, right? It's just a matter of creativity and also, well, how do you do that creative thing? Let's see. SharePoint says, what's your thoughts on doing private lives? In other words, keeping them exclusive to email subscribers. Private lives is a great idea. I think doing it for members, making it a members only thing, that's something that I do once a month on the Pokemon side of things. And people really appreciate that. It actually keeps people on for longer for sure as members because it's of value to them. There's less people. It's more intimate. But I think any additional value you could offer any people who are a little bit more warm with you, the better. And I think live streams and special Q&As are an amazing way to do that. If you are in Circle, you know that we, inside of the SPI community, we host office hours. And that's similar. It's like this is just for people who are there, who are inside of the membership. You can do that for people who are inside of your email subscribership base as well. Definitely. Let's see. Would multiple motion cameras work for one person setup when moving from place to place on setup for all views? I think so. There would be a way to do that. I know there's cameras that kind of follow you, right? You would need a way to auto switch from one to the other. You might be able to say a word or maybe click a button. Maybe there's a way you could do it with a certain motion. But the cameras that follow you, Like if you move this way, they go this way. If you go this way, they go that way. I mean, you could set up a single camera that does that, and you can be in a more walking setting, presentation style, and rely on the AI and the camera to do the work for you instead of the work that you can do here, which you can do work here on Ecamm, right? If I wanted to zoom in, if I wanted to get dramatic and go, oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. You see how it just adds a level of, could go black and white and just be really sad. There's so many, like just a little bit of movement engagement on these things go such a long way. Such a long way. Wait, where did I go? I lost the comments. There we go. Not totally live stream related, but I'm considering buying a new gimbal. Unfortunately, new DJI gimbal models are banned. Thoughts on purchasing the DJI 7P? I'll be using an iPhone Pro. The DJI gimbals? Well, hold on. So I have this one here. This is the DJI 5, I think. I didn't know it was banned though. What do you mean it's banned? Oh no, Ronin. Yeah, this is the Ronin RS5. This one has been, I mean, this is huge, right? This is for when I do band videos for my son. But it's awesome. And I know a lot of people who use the Ronin. That's what it's called. Ronin RS5 with an iPhone. And they have a good setup. It even has the suitcase handle here. If I turn this on, what? See, now I can go, what? Anyway, let me turn this off. You have a problem. I play with a lot of I play with a lot of toys, and they're not always very cheap. Pat, I was wondering how you go about keeping viewers watching throughout your videos. Yeah, this is a great question. I mean, there's different kinds of videos that lend itself to different styles of retention, right? In our long form videos, it's about storytelling and opening up a question that then people need to stick around to the end to figure out. You can use that same formula, like opening up a question, creating some curiosity in the beginning, which is within the hook, to then keep people to the end. And then within, you share moments of discoverability, moments of challenge, moments of struggle, moments of triumph. Whether it's an educational piece or storytelling piece or entertainment piece, I think that's kind of the general formula, right? Having it be relatable, having people wonder what's going to happen next. This is your favorite movie. This is your favorite book. It's your favorite show. All the same things, right? On a short form video, it's that, but condensed, right? Opening up something with a question or story, and people want to know what's going to happen next. A phrase that stops them in their tracks, but then you keep them going because of what they hope will happen next or what they're hoping to uncover. With live video, it can be a little bit more difficult to do that because we don't often know where things are going. But this is where interacting with the audience and calling people's names, like Sparkling Life Coach, who said Gadget Boy. I love it. Interacting with the audience makes them feel like they can be heard, right? And I think that's really important. And I think that this is, especially when you are just starting out, you want to make sure that you call out as many times people's names. You interact with the audience, you engage with them, and you help them feel welcome. Let's see. Question: have you considered mentoring people on content creating? If so, can you be my mentor? I have mentored people in the past, and my realization was that I can help so many more people by doing it in a more virtual manner, in a more group-like setting. This is exactly why we have the SPI community. And if you wanted to check out the SPI community for anybody, you can get an open free trial and get access to it if you go to smartpassiveincome.com/open house, 7-day open house. We have a course coming out this week, so make sure you get in because after Wednesday, that open house shuts down. Right. So I don't know if we're going to do that again. It's a test. First time we're doing an open house. So we'd love to see you in there and see if it's a thing for you. And if not, that's okay too. There are many communities for many different kinds of people. We tend to attract a lot of great, heart-centered people who are in the space for the right reasons. It's not a very bro-y community and, investor bro type stuff. It's really wholesome, the kind of people that we seem to attract here. Many of you who are here in the comments. Many of you could probably speak to how much value you've gotten from being a member of the SPI community. Thank you for that. Let's see. Arctic says, what are 3 ways you suggest to grow your channel when under 500 subscribers? So quality is important, but quantity is even more important. When you're just starting out, getting those reps in is really important. So that's one thing. You want to keep the momentum going, right? Number 2, continually focus on experimenting with different hooks, different ways to get people to stick around. It just takes one video. It just takes one video, which is why you want to create several ones of videos to see which ones seem to work. I know a person, she's a photographer, and she had been creating videos for the last 6 months, short form videos, and not really getting anywhere. A couple weeks ago, one of her videos hit 720,000 views, and she started to sell her own products for the first time. It's absolutely amazing because she kept going, and she's trying different formulas, and she found a formula that worked, and she's going to repeat that formula because she finally landed on it, the formula that worked for her and her style. She tried other formulas that worked for other people, and they didn't work for her, but she eventually found one that worked for her as well, which is cool. Do you ask for the thumbs up and subscribe throughout the beginning or the end? Yeah, I actually personally don't ask for it at all. And maybe I could do a better job at asking for it, or maybe even playing a little game with it and saying, okay, well, how many likes do we have right now? Let's see if we can together collectively get above 100 likes or something, like whatever it might be. That might be the only time that I would do it, because I don't like asking for likes. I want to earn the like, right? So never ask for a like or subscribe or follow in the beginning. You want to earn that and have that be a call to action at the end. And ideally, you'd want to get it to a point where, because of the way that your content is being presented and because of how you're talking about what's coming next, people will follow and like and subscribe anyway. This is why the idea of a series works really well, because people want to know what's going to happen next in a series. So when you chop it up like that and you make it something that, okay, well, I guess I need to subscribe or follow to find out what's going to happen next, well, then they are more likely to do that. Owen Stewart says, it's my first time here. I found this channel from your short form content on Instagram. Just want to say thanks for being an inspiration to me and many others. Hey, thank you, Owen. I hope all is well on your end and you are encouraged here to press record and hit publish, or hit record and press publish, whatever it might be. But thank you, Owen. I appreciate that. Question: how much prep time do you put into your live videos, such as the one you are hosting right now? I really wrestle with this, especially since I'm a special needs mom and still work a 9 to 5. So prep work for this one, the most important thing was just making sure I had the right call to actions. The Ecamm Live, using code LIVESPI to get a 1 month free with Ecamm, because they're amazing and they helped out with this live stream challenge very, very much. But also setting up text like this, again, which could be done very easily inside of Ecamm, and also just, of course, a little bit of marketing for it, talking about it on the short form channels and everything like that. Yeah, this is why it's happening. So I think prep work for more topic specific ones are really important. Prep work meaning, what stories do you want to tell? What questions might you already be ahead on, right? This is where, if you're going to do any Q&As, I would actually come up with a list of 5 questions yourself, or look up 5 common questions around your topic. You go to answerthepublic.com to determine what the most popular questions are about particular topics. Again, answerthepublic.com. I hope that still exists. I don't know if it still does, but that was a really cool website where you could go to see what questions people were typing in based on certain topics. And you can use those and find the top 5 questions and prepare maybe answers for those, not just because somebody might ask them, but because if there are any dead moments in your live stream, you can present that question. Just say, hey, here's a question that some of you might have. How do you prepare for a live stream before you go live? Well, let me answer that question for you and everybody else who has it. You just kind of assume that people have that question, and you are totally allowed to answer questions that people don't ask, because it could still be helpful. And you know how many times people get value from other people asking questions? Some people are going to get value from you posing the questions too. So keep that in mind. Will there be another creator TED Talk at CP4? For me, the best part of the event last year was. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. Dan, my producer on the team, has a new presentation to offer, which is going to be more of like a creator storytelling, how-to type content. And there's also going to be a behind-the-scenes portion of Deep Pocket Monster as well, where you'll be able to ask questions and stuff like that at Card Party too, which is pretty cool. 2 Scoops, CCG. Hey, Pat, with your experience with live streams, What have you learned now that you would have applied to your earlier live streams if you knew back then? A wonderful question, Two Scoops. I wish I would have learned or had done better at telling stories earlier. I was so worried about the tech. I was so worried about the giveaway portion of this. I really didn't just sit down and talk with people very often. I would read the questions, I'd answer them, but again, I think it's okay every once in a while. And these are moments that provide moments of pause, right? A lot of live streams, especially when there's a lot of people and a lot of things happening, it can feel very rushed. It can feel very fast. This is maybe the bigger idea here. Changing the pace allows for people to engage more. And that might mean taking not a break, but doing a little small segment, right? I do segments in my live streams now where I pull out a binder and show people what's inside of it every once in a while. Or I do like story time with Pat. Everybody remember story time with Pat from the income stream? That was something that was like a moment of pause, and it would get people to, I even had music behind it. Like creating little segments in your live stream can be great because it breaks it up. It breaks it up and it makes for when you go back to the main thing as if it's starting new again, and it can be refreshing. And it's like, let's get back to the regular program, but then you take a break and then you get back to it and you take a break. I was so worried about just like plowing through that it just felt rushed. So I love that question. Mr. Chocolo says, I'm not sure what product to offer to eventually monetize. I don't want to make something that no one wants. Great question. This is why I highly recommend my book. I'm not here to pitch my book, but this is a perfect opportunity to do so because it definitely answers your question. Will It Fly? How to test your next business idea so you don't waste your time and money. That is the subtitle to it. Will It Fly? You can find it. You can download the audiobook, probably more recommended because I go off script every once in a while and you maybe are used to hearing my voice, and you can speed it up 1.75x, which is how I listen to my audiobooks when I do. That'll help you. It'll help you understand what questions to ask, how to find the people in your audience who have a problem who you can then solve, so that by the time you launch something, it's exactly what people wanted, right? You can even get paid for it before you even create it by pre-selling the idea. So definitely check that out. And again, thank you for picking up Will It Fly, all of you. All right. Well, guess what? We are now at the very end of this stream. I'm just going to answer one or two more questions here for people. This one being maybe the last one. JL Ralty says, how do you structure your week to prevent burnout while managing multiple brands, a community, and content creation? Fantastic question. Well, I'm very grateful that, first of all, I didn't have all of this right at the beginning. If I did, I would be way too overwhelmed. I would be hospitalized with how much stuff there is going on in my world if I were to do all of this at the same time from the beginning. It all has led into it. And I have built systems. That's number one. So building systems of automation, whether that automation includes tools or funnels or even people, right? I've hired some people who have helped along the way. Our team at SPI is incredible. We've recently hired people like Liz, our community director, who's absolutely fantastic, to take a lot of the community stuff off my plate so that the community can have even more of a life than it did before she was in. And it's been incredible. And again, I highly recommend you check it out. This is going to be my last plug for this. Come into the community. SPI is amazing, and it's there for you. smartpassiveincome.com/open house is where you want to go. And there's a 7-day free trial to get access to that. First time we've been doing that, and that offer is only available to Wednesday. And we have a course coming on Thursday that everybody who's in there will be able to get access to. Our brand new Sponsor Me course, a brand and partnership course that's available for all the members who are there. And the other thing about burnout is giving myself time and space to breathe. Despite knowing the fact that I could answer more emails, that I could run more things, that I could, write more things, that it is that important to take breaks, to pause. And that means on a micro level, going on a walk every day. On a macro level, having a few days where I know I'm not touching a computer at all. I'm out on the lake fishing, or I'm out with a family going to Julian to get some pies, or whatever it might be. That rest and relaxation is important. It gets me more energy when I come back. And the other thing is auditing what I do and asking myself, what am I doing that I don't need to do anymore? Because a lot of times we get into automation mode and we are just continually doing the things that we've done before while also adding new things. But offering yourself an audit every once in a while to know when to stop or what to stop. There's an exercise called the Stop, Start, Continue exercise that Matt, my former CEO of SPI, taught me. And every quarter I do this. Stop, start, continue. What do I need to stop doing that I'm doing that I just don't need anymore? What do I need to start doing that I haven't done yet? And what do I need to continue to do, and what can I do to improve that of which I am continuing? Awesome. April, thank you so much. I'm an SPI member, so if anyone here is over there as well, please DM me. I love meeting new people. Javi, I look forward to seeing you in San Diego. Thank you so much, and safe travels to you. Thanks for the enlightening response, Pat. I'll be sure to apply that. And thank all of you. Oh my gosh, Info Barrel, that is a blast from the past. I remember reading Passive Income Reports at SPI like 2008. Info Barrel, that was where you could write for a website and get paid from the AdSense ads that were shown on that website. Wow. I was trying to figure it out, and I was sharing the results along the way. And that's what we're still doing here, sharing the results with you. And hopefully now with the multimedia aspect to it, you're having a great time. And again, thank you so much for your time and effort today. I appreciate it. Hit up this link before you go, and I'll see you in there at SPI. And we all look forward to welcoming you there. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.